Shalom la b'chayayim shal yashal. Peace be to the election of the nation of Israel, consisting of the 144,000 Hanabiyayim, the prophets, Harashim, the heats of the golden body that shall mashal, which is ruled by Hamalakwath in the kingdom, by Shemayim in heaven, which shall be established here on earth, under, of course, Yahweh Shemel Shai, the Heavenly Father, in the name of the only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. Of course, us being joint heirs with Yahweh Shai, and ruling the kingdom as the governing body over all the affairs within the kingdom. 12 tribes of Israel, or the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and the Americans, and this governing body will be headed by the elect of the nation of Israel. Of course, giving a shalom to the rest of the Israelite foreigners, like unto the speckled bird, that are variegated, coming in different appearances due to the places where they've been scattered to. But lineage by the way their fathers go back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And of course, giving a shalom to the rest of the 1/3, which are no prophets but are believers. In the words of Yahweh, Shemel Shai, B'Shem Kokodash, Shemel Mappa, Nez Mappa, Mayanga Walla Kub Makana from the Great Millstone Camp, specifically Plaintables in the city of Philadelphia. Just coming with a wee lesson. It's breaking news, something in which Yahweh Shemel Shai already spoke. Yahweh Shai spoke about famines and these different things coming down. The Lord talked about, of course, how when they build, He's gonna break them down and such. In the book of Malachi, the first chapter, and I believe that is Malachi 1-4, we're in Edom, Esau, Edom, wicked. We saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. So, of course, them coming back into rulership, coming into rulership due to being in a base and low state. However, since the Renaissance and them establishing dominance via the rebirth of this Roman Empire, the Treaty of Rome, and NATO, the various European allies and such as well. The Lord is breaking them down, all right, because they only have but a little season to rule. And we're seeing, of course, that happening right now, their prosperity being diminished. They shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom Yahweh have indignation forever. So the Lord does have a righteous anger against this people, being the Edomites, all right, which Esau is the end of the world. So Esau is in rulership, and it's heaven, and right now he's approaching his hell, his lowest state, his destruction. Article: supply chains at risk as shipping containers topple over at alarming rate. And we do know, of course, that there's still been supply chains been affected, disruption due to that whole situation in the Gulf of I believe that was in the Gulf of, see if I can get back where it was. I don't want to misquote it. The Suez Canal. Okay. He had a disruption, tanker getting stuck or something of that nature. Now, it says supply chains at risk as shipping containers topple over at alarming rate. Millions of dollars of cargo sinks to the bottom of the oceans as pressure to speed deliveries raise the risk of safety errors. And this just goes to show you how coveted this Esau Edom is. And of course, we do know, Esau, he makes so much off, these rest of these nations, all right, having the world's largest leading economy, despite the fact that barely produces anything. Okay, all of these goods, they're gonna go away very soon, as we're seeing these these tankers and such ships being stacked, and then collapsing. Containers piled high on the giant vessels carrying everything from car tires to smartphones are toppling over at an alarming rate, sending millions of dollars of cargo sinking to the bottom of the ocean as pressure to speed deliveries raise risks of safety errors. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 28, and verse 3. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. Daniel's a prophet, which the Lord gave mysteries unto, maybe to interpret and break down mysteries. All right, which he did for Nebuchadnezzar. All right, he had a high position, of course, in the Babylonian Empire as well. All right, there is no secret that they can hide from thee. With thy wisdom and with thy understanding, the prudence, thou hast gotten the riches, and thou hast gotten gold and silver unto thy treasures. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic, which that goes into the merchandising, traffic, rakala, which is merchandise, which goes into the merchandise via trade. All right. Thou hast increased riches, and Esau is continually to increase an abundance of riches via being able to conduct trade. And thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. Therefore, thus said the Lord Yahweh, because thou hast set thine heart as the heart of God. We know he sitteth in the seat, saying he is God. Read that in Thessalonians. Behold, therefore I will bring strangers upon thee, the terrible of the nations, and they shall draw swords against the beauty of thy wisdom, and shall defile thy brightness. Okay. Now, Esau Edom is spiritually the prince of Tyrus. Okay, which Tyrus was a Phoenician city in the Mediterranean coast, right, on the Mediterranean coast in Palestine. Okay, and of course, if you know anything about coast, you have trade. Okay, things coming in and things riches being multiplied, you know what I mean? Goods. All right, trade is being conducted. Okay, this is Ezekiel 27:2. Now, thou son of man, take a lamentation for Tyrus, and say unto Tyrus, okay, which Esau is the prince of Tyrus, thou that art situate in the entry of the sea, which art a merchant of the people for many isles. Thus said the Lord Yahweh, O Tyrus has said, I am perfect in beauty. All right, and Esau, of course, thanks just because, he's at the top. The Lord got him at the top. The Ra'ash, the heavens, leading in the nations. And he really thinks that he's not gonna see any death or destruction. That he's not gonna go down, but the Lord has been bringing them down. And this is a perfect example. Thy borders are in the midst of the seas. Builders have perfected thy beauty. Okay, and we know how here now how Babylon, the great America, is in the midst of both of the seas being Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, thy builders have perfected thy beauty. Okay, and what these other nations build and help you grow. All right, through what them producing various goods, you taking it, flipping it, and buying it in abundance for cheap, and selling it and making much profit off of it. All right, with these major corporations. All right, so you have to see and understand spiritually. This is Tyrus. The prince of Tyrus is Esau, Edom. All right, so and you could go into the history more, but I'm just gonna bounce around and just get the point that I want. Okay, it speaks about the different goods and such, that came through, and it speaks about even their navy and such. It says, which I just want to go to the point. It says Damascus, this is verse 18. Damascus was thy merchant in the multitude of thy wares of thy making, for the multitude of all thy riches in wine, helbun, and white wool. Okay, and you can link, of course, this with Revelation, the 18th chapter. So, these different various nations, they're gonna mourn when this place get destroyed, because they're not gonna be able to make profit off of Babylon the Great. You know what I mean? Most of these people, they look at Babylon as their meal ticket to prosperity. Okay, and these heathen definitely do make so much off of Babylon, conducting trade. All right. Just going on, it says Arabia and all the princes of Kedar, Ishmael and such, they occupied thee in lambs, rams, goats, and these were thy merchants. They thy merchants. Okay. And you can read more, into this, but just going and skipping for time's sake. It says verse 26, thy roarers. Okay, because in ancient times you had they didn't have engine. Well, the technology of an engine, as what we have of today. You had roarers, like rowers, that would use the wee paddles and such, men. Okay. It says the roarers, and even I could start at 25. It says the ships of Tarshish did sing of thee in thy market, and thou was replenished and made very glorious in the midst of the seas. Thy roarers have brought thee into the great waters. The east wind hath broken thee in the midst of the seas. Thy riches and thy fares, thy merchandise, thy mariners, thy pilots, thy caulkers, and thy occupiers of thy merchants, and all thy men of war that are in thee, and all thy company which is in the midst of thee shall fall into the midst of the sea and seas in the day of thy ruin. Okay, and this being catastrophe, this is just one example, of the man, the day of the Lord quickly approaches, and how these nations, they're gonna be in lamentation. They're gonna be upset. I mean, look at what they're doing. It says the shipping industry is seeing the biggest spike in lost containers in 7 years. More than 3,000 boxes dropped into the sea last year, and more than 1,000 have fallen overboard so far in 2021. That's insane. Okay, and that's all goods. Okay. The accidents are disrupting supply chains for hundreds of U.S. retailers and manufacturers such as Amazon and Tesla. Okay, you got different car parts, electronics, chips, different things are, at a shortage. Okay, within this whole supply chain, which that leaves, of course, these various merchants unable to really operate as what they would before. Okay, they have to make a compromise. Okay, maybe perhaps sell different things. A brother mentioned about a Starbucks having a shortage of iced coffees because the whole thing with that Suez Canal, that ship that had got stuck. All right. It's talking about they wasn't going to see things for months. It says there's a host of reasons for the sudden rise in accidents, whether it's getting more unpredictable while ships are growing bigger, allowing for containers to be stacked higher than ever before. And that just goes to show you how coveted Esau is, the rest of these heathen. But greatly, it says, exacerbating the situation in the surge of e-commerce after consumer demand exploded during the pandemic. Yeah, many people are at home, and then they were told to stay home, and they, of course, rely upon, as they mentioned, Amazon and various sites, Walmart, Target. Okay, and a lot of these different big corporations, they provide these items for cheap. Well, that's coming at a cost. All right, it's gonna come at a very cost, because you're not gonna have access to these things, and the things are gonna end up going up in price. All right, due to the shortages. Okay, that's how I seen with bikes. You know what I mean? There was a shortage of bikes due to manufacturing being halted, due to the whole virus. It says increasing this urgency for shipping lines to deliver products as quickly as possible. Right? So, they want to make money because the demand has exploded, due to this whole pestilence outbreak, and a lot of people, using their stimulus money, unemployment, and just spending. The increased movement of containers means that these very large container ships are much closer to full capacity than past. So, look, they're going over. And I definitely see it working. Of course, sometimes around logistics. How some of these brutes would just go about and just shove something in something just to get rid of it. All right, they got to make space for more things, etc. Okay, it said Clive Reed, which is jeopardized safety, and it came at a cost of losing items. You know what I mean? Much of it in these containers. All right, thousands of millions of dollars is being lost. It says founder of Reed Marina, Clive Reed, Maritime Casualty Management Consultancy. There is commercial pressure on the ships to arrive on time, and consequently make more voyages. Yeah, make more voyages, get more stuff. After Gulf force winds and large waves buffeted the 364 meter one Apis in November, causing the loss of more than 180 containers Footage showed thousands of steel boxes thrown like Lego pieces on board. See? Some torn to metal shreds. The incident was worse since 2013 when the MOL Comfort broke in two and sank with the entire cargo of 4,293 containers into the Indian Ocean. All right. It says in January, the Maersk Essen lost about 750 boxes while sailing from China, China, to Los Angeles. And, China, produces a lot of these goods, okay, being, brought to America, right? Coming in, imported, exported from China, coming into America. A month later, 260 containers fell off it, this was particularly the Maersk Edenhoven, when it lost power in heavy seas. And the Lord, he maketh his way in the seas. Also in the seas, but in these storms and such. And Isaiah 29:6, thou shalt be visited by Yahweh of hosts with thunder, earthquake, and great noise, in the storm and tempest, and flames of devouring fire. Okay, the wildfires, etc. See if I can find something else as well. Luke, the 22nd chapter, maybe. Let me see where it is. Or Luke 21. All right, this is Luke 21:25, and there shall be signs in the Shamash, in the sun, and the moon, and the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the seas and waves roaring. Okay? Seas and waves roaring. Okay, that has to be storms. Okay, the sea. And it's crazy even said, use specifically of the Mediterranean or Red Sea. Use the sea or yum, and I believe it is in the Hebrew. They got it in the Greek, but I'm not going into the Greek term right now. Waves roaring. Akeo, which is use of roaring in the sea. Okay, the sea roaring with storms. So this is all prophecy, all right? So we're definitely in the time of the second coming of Yahweh Shem Shai. Yahweh Shai, when the word you call Jesus Christ. Hashem is in the name. So it goes on also. It says the journey. Let me read some more, Slakia. And let me read some more precepts. This is back to Ezekiel chapter 27. It says again, 27:27. Thy riches in thy fares, and the merchandise, and the mariners, and thy pilots, and thy caulkers, and the occupiers of thy merchandise, and all the men of war that are in thee, and all thy company in the midst of thee shall fall in the midst of the seas in the day of thy ruin. It says the suburbs goes into open pastures and such. All right, for grazing, shall shake at the sound of the cry of thy pilots. Seeing these things. All right. And I mean, a lot of, like I said, a lot of goods coming in. You know what I mean? That of course affects husbandry too. I mean, and all that handle the oar, the mariners, and all thy pilots of the sea shall come down from their ships. They shall stand upon the land, and cause their voice to be heard against you, and shall cry bitterly. They're gonna be mad at you, Esau, and shall cast up dust upon their heads, and they shall wallow themselves in ashes. They're gonna be in mourning, and they shall make themselves utterly bald for thee. Another for the mourning, sign of mourning, and gird them with sackcloth, and they shall weep for thee with bitterness of heart and bitter wailing. And in their wailing they shall take a lamentation for thee, and lament over thee, saying, what city is like Tyrus, America, like the destroyed in the midst of the sea, when thy wares went forth out of the seas, thy fillest many people, thou didst enrich the kings of the earth with the multitude of thy riches and of thy merchandises. Right. And these, like many of these kingdoms, these countries, they get rich off of doing trade with America. All right, oil. I mean, there's another thing about I seen something about a gas shortage. Okay, due to a lack of truckers. All right, in the summer here. They're talking about this, so this is something else coming this summer. Gas stations running out of gas. Truck shortages could cause gas shortage. So the Lord is definitely affecting the traffic. Okay, that's done. The merchandise, the goods, the trade. All right. The Lord is bringing the grinding to low. All right. Many, of course, of these truckers can't meet these demands, and also there's a lack of being able to make these times. Esau, he's just too greedy. But it says also, now going back, and like I said, you could link that with Revelation 18. Revelation 18. It says Revelation 18:5, and also Revelation 18:3. It says, for the nations all have drunk of the wine of her fornication and their philosophies. Right? They accept it. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Right? Now going down. Verse 6, reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her according to her works. In the cup in which she has filled, she hath filled to her double. How she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit as a queen, and I am no widow, and I shall see no sorrow. But you see, the Lord is going to bring that ultimately in the form of nuclear destruction, but also bringing down the wealth, abundance, bringing forth a famine to this place. Okay. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning, famine. She shall utterly burn with fire, nuclear fire, ICBMs, and fire from the chariots of Israel. All right, or salvation, the angels. All right, Yahweh Shai. For strong is the Lord power that who judgeth her. All right, going down. Verse 9, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, with America, Babylon, shall bewail her and lament for her when she shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city, Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour her judgment has that judgment, like it for in 1 hour is thy judgment come, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth her merchandise anymore. All right. because this place is gonna be utterly burnt. All right, it's no gonna be there to profit. So you can see and read all this more, on your own to get more information. But that's the lesson and the understanding of the spirit power Yahweh Shem Shai. Hopefully you're edified through prophecy. Shalom to the elect.